when you're watching these videos, you got to realize what we're showing you, views from the sky and all of this, it doesn't exist. It's not real. We have this drone, and when we fly it up into the air, it looks really cool. But you know what? You're not a bird. You will never see things from that view. Most of the time, you're going to be sitting on the ground. And we're not trying to lie to you. It's an accident. Oops, sorry. It's like, think about wedding day photos. Like, people aren't trying to lie to you that they're more beautiful and the hair is perfect. No, they just want to present things in the nicest way. That's what we want to do, right? But when you're watching this, trying to plan your life, to build your dream, to do this, you got to realize this does not exist. You're watching the movie. It's a movie. Like, guys, we think because we're watching things on YouTube that it's like genuine and authentic. Those days are over. It takes so much time to make a video that will actually get a lot of views that it has to be the most polished, spectacular thing, right? So all I'm saying is this, like, when you're building this idea in your mind, you really got to stop watching the videos about it where it's showing the adventure and the drone shots and all the pretty pictures. This is not what you're going to be seeing. And I know, and look, I'm someone who I dreamed about this for 10 years before I actually did it. And spoiler alert, I did eventually stop doing it. So you're getting this perspective, the perspective of someone who's not selling it to you anymore. I get it, and I have no regrets. I enjoyed it so much. I recommend you to do it for a few months at least, and then maybe you do something else, right? But I know how fun it is to dream about it, because what you're currently doing, you don't like, right? You're bored. You want something more exciting. You want the freedom. You're trying to escape something. And watching these videos, it gives you inspiration, gives you hope. You're so curious about it, and it's amazing. But when I tell you that a few months into this, I would be living the van life, and I would be in there watching videos about van life. And you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, wow, I want to do that. I'm already doing that, right? But it's always going to seem like so much more. And you can't realize that until you've actually gotten to a point in your life where you've dreamt about something really for a long time and then finally did it. I mean, and it's okay to watch things. It's okay to dream about these things. But every time you're doing that, you're putting it higher and higher up on this pedestal, building this fantasy, making it farther and farther from something that actually exists, that you could ever actually achieve. So the more that you watch that, the more that you dream about it, you're pushing it further and further away from something that's actually achievable. So even when you achieve it, you'll never get to achieve that. I know this is starting to sound a little crazy, a little philosophical or whatever, but I'm just trying to tell you, what is your real dream? If your dream is truly to do the van thing, then the way to get there, to actually do it, is not to dream about it like that, right? But you probably know that, and we still do it. Why? Because you want to get a taste for it. You can't have it now, and so you want a way to access it, to have a taste for it, a way to preview it, a way to get to it sooner, even if it's just for a moment. Well, okay, specifically about van life, there is a way you can do that. You can just go camping. I mean, most of what you're trying to achieve with the van life is just driving somewhere far and hanging out in the middle of the woods. And if that doesn't sound appealing to you, guys, van life is not for you. That is the story of van life, driving somewhere far in the middle of nowhere and camping. And yeah, it's a lot better if you have, a van with storage and some amenities instead of a tent. But 90% of it is just driving far and being in the middle of the woods. I do want to sit on a phone and watch videos of other people doing it, but it's that. If that is truly what we want, and to be honest with you, it's probably not, and we'll get on that in a moment. But if that is truly what we wanted, the best way to get a taste for that, the best way to get closer to that, would be to just go camping, right? But the truth is, that's not actually what we want. We want to dream, and dreaming of something is something completely different than actually accomplishing and having the dream. But that's sank in for a little bit, right? So this is the biggest problem with watching videos, is that we're not planning and tasting and getting ourselves towards van life in particular. No, we're just on this dreaming mode. And so as humans, we just love this dreaming mode. We love this fantasizing mode. And you have to realize anytime you catch yourself doing that in that mode, you are creating this thing farther and farther away that is literally not achievable. The more you dream about it, the more it's not actually achievable. And I'm not saying don't have goals and directions, yes, but I'm talking specifically about sitting here thinking, I can't have that, and look how amazing that is. That friend replied, like, I don't have this now, and this is so amazing, I want that. The moment you catch yourself doing that, like, I want this, okay, now we just need to start working towards it, right? We don't need to dream about it. And the dreaming part, the watching it from this dreaming, this is the problem. I don't know how to communicate. I'm trying to think how I could explain this to myself before I had ever gotten to a point where I had accomplished like a true dream in life. Like I'm telling you, for 10 years, I just dream. And I'm slowly working so hard to get closer to them. But I never down to a point where I really had a dream that I actually got to accomplish. And let me tell you, once you achieve your dream, then you wake up, right? And that could be good. Maybe it was a refreshing sleep. But until you've had that experience, to realize the whole fallacy is in the process, the way we approached it, that was like the biggest fallacy. Okay. Let's not get too theoretical. Let's not get off the feet bend. What are the other problems with watching the van life videos? Well, the other problem is that anyone who's still making videos about van life is still doing it. But recognize that, let's say 100 people start doing this, maybe 90 of them eventually stop. After 6 months, maybe after a year, they eventually stop, right? But if they're stopped, they're not going to make videos about doing van life, are they? Most of them would not. But if they're still doing it, most people would make videos about doing it, right? Because it's easy and it supports that lifestyle, pays the bills. So if you just search van life, you're going to see 10 times more of the people who just happen to be a good fit for it than of the people who wasn't. You just called survivorship bias, man. You don't have to be into the math or statistics to get the idea that you're only hearing from the winners, right? It's like if you ask a guy, who won the lottery, hey, tell me how to win the lottery. He's like, well, it's simple. I just knock on the door 3 times and then I do a backflip and then I pick whatever numbers come to my head. And that's how I won the lottery. And you're like, wow, that's amazing. I should do that. It's like, you're just asking the guy who it happened to work for. It doesn't necessarily mean that they did anything. So it's like, for some amount of people, this is just going to work for them, right? And the reasons and their stories and why doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's like, we're just picking the ones who it worked for and you're hearing from them, right? And that, sure, they have a lot of good things to say also. But the problem is most of the people who are just normal people who it doesn't work for long term, you're not going to hear the perspective because they moved on to other things. And so that was me. I did it. I moved on to other things. And for a while, I didn't even think to talk about it, right? And I came at it from this perspective of thinking that it was going to be a really long-term lifestyle for me. I mean, I dreamed about it for years. How could it, when I accomplished my dream, that last so much shorter than the amount of time I spent dreaming about it, right? So I had dreamed about it for years. How could I not do it for years? I could never have imagined that. But once you break through the fail and you get to that point where you're actually gearing it, you become someone completely different. So not just does something change, it's not just about a honeymoon period. It's about the fact that once you get there and you're living it and you become satisfied of a curiosity, a desire, you become a different person. And now that different person, do they still need that? It's not, can you do it? Can you enjoy it? Can you do with it? I could do with it. It's possible, but I no longer needed it because it was a dream. I no longer needed that dream, right? It was just what it is. And so what I'm trying to say is that when you're watching these videos, we're not building a picture of what it is. We're building the dream. And that's a good way to set goals, but it's not a good way to set an expectation for a long time, right? It's a good direction to have. And there's something there. There's a curiosity. There's something in it about it that you like. And for me, that was true. I'm so glad I did it. The person I became because I did it was incredible. Like, I had no regrets. Highly recommended. But going in with the idea, thinking that this is going to be a long-term lifestyle, that this is the end, this is the solution. Life will be complete. Once I have this, that is the dream. And then you wake up. I don't know. I hope that helps. I know I always wish I had been able to sit down with someone like in real life and they really told me what it was like, not like some vlog nonsense. So like, I know it's the internet, and on the internet we think like, oh, I don't pay for stuff. But if someone sat down in real life and told you this information and it was like really helpful to your life and you're like, well, gonna give that guy a sandwich. You know, like you can actually give me a sandwich and I would really appreciate that. So if you want to do that, link down below, and I will really wake up and see that you gave me a sandwich, and I will really go get myself a nicer meal that day. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope it was helpful. Thanks for watching, and watch again, maybe.